We all know how fascinating movies can be. They pull us in, make us laugh, make us cry, and sometimes, without us even noticing, they teach us something deeper. There are movies that simply entertain us, and then there are movies that stay with us. Stories that don't just fill a couple of hours, but quietly show us how to face life itself. Today, we're diving into 5 films that teach you something rare, the kind of strength that doesn't shout, doesn't fight but endures. And you've probably never heard of most of these, because they're not blockbusters. They're smaller, quieter, sometimes forgotten, but that's exactly what makes them unforgettable. So, here are 5 movies that teach inner strength and self-control. The Red House, 1947. There's something haunting about The Red House. At first glance, it looks like just another mystery from the 1940s, an old man, a teenage girl, and a forest that no one dares to cross. But it's not really about the house. It's about the mind, and what happens when fear becomes a language we live by. You start watching, and everything feels off. The wind moves differently, the woods seem alive, the silence feels heavy. The film doesn't show monsters, it shows how people become their own monsters when they keep running from the truth. That's what makes it so powerful. Fear here isn't a scream, it's a whisper that never leaves your head. The old man's secrets are the kind we all have, the memories we bury, the things we tell ourselves we've moved past. But the film shows that no secret really stays buried. It just waits. And when it finally comes out, it either destroys you or frees you. Every sound, every flicker of light feels symbolic, like the forest itself is our subconscious, full of things we'd rather not face. And as the story unravels, you realize that courage isn't about fighting what's out there. It's about walking into the darkness inside yourself, and refusing to run this time. Because the truth is, sometimes, the scariest thing you can do is face the part of you that still hides in that red house. The Big Lift, 1950. The Big Lift doesn't scream heroism, it whispers it. It's set in post-war Berlin, and instead of battles, you see people trying to rebuild what's left of their humanity. The soldiers aren't conquering anything, they're just trying to understand what normal even means again. The most striking thing about this movie is its honesty. There are no villains, no easy answers. Just broken people, standing among broken buildings, pretending not to be broken themselves. You can see it in their eyes, that exhaustion that comes after you've given everything, and still lost something you can't name. This film teaches that self-control isn't silence, it's strength disguised as humility. When you've seen the worst of humanity, and you still choose to act with kindness, that's real courage. The main characters don't shout about their pain, they carry it with quiet dignity. And in that stillness, there's a strange kind of beauty, the beauty of endurance. What's also fascinating is how The Big Lift was filmed using real locations in a real, ruined Berlin, no sets, no tricks. You can almost smell the dust, feel the chill in the air, and sense that mix of despair and hope living side by side. It's not just about surviving war, it's about surviving yourself afterward. The film whispers something to everyone who's ever been hurt and still chosen to believe. You don't need to shout to be strong. Sometimes, just walking forward is the loudest act of strength there is. Angel on My Shoulder, 1946. Now, Angel on My Shoulder, that's a film that lives inside you after it ends. It starts with a gangster dying, heading straight to hell, and cutting a deal with the devil himself. But the twist, when he's sent back to Earth, something unexpected happens. He starts to change. This isn't about religion or punishment, it's about what happens when life gives you another chance, and you don't know what to do with it. At first, he's angry, cynical, ready to manipulate everyone around him. But slowly, something shifts. He starts to feel compassion, to see decency in people, and it scares him more than death ever did. The film's brilliance lies in that emotional tension between who we've been and who we might still become. Every time he's tempted to go back to his old ways, there's a flicker of hesitation, a quiet war in his eyes. And that's the moment we all recognize, when your heart wants to do better, but your habits pull you back down. There's a scene, subtle but unforgettable, where the character pauses before hurting someone, just for a second. That one pause says more about humanity than any speech could. It's that pause that saves him, and that's the lesson. Because redemption isn't dramatic, it's built one decision at a time. And sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is yourself. By the end, you don't see a man who's defeated, you see a man who finally understands the weight of his choices. And you realize, self-control isn't about denying who you were, it's about not letting your past decide who you'll be next. The Amazing Mr. X, 1948. If you've ever trusted someone who wasn't what they seemed, this film will make your stomach twist. It starts like a ghost story, a grieving widow, a mysterious psychic, and whispers from the other side. But little by little, the supernatural gives way to something far more human: manipulation, deceit, and self-delusion. What makes this film stand out isn't the mystery itself, it's the psychology behind it. Grief makes us blind. We want to believe there's meaning in our pain, that someone out there can explain it, or make it go away. And the movie captures that vulnerability perfectly. The psychic in this story isn't just conning people, he's feeding off their hope. And the scariest part, they let him, because hope, even false hope, feels safer than emptiness. But as the lies start to unravel, the main character realizes something profound. Strength isn't found in the illusion of comfort, it's in the courage to face the truth. The atmosphere is drenched in fog, light, and sound, every detail reinforcing that tension between reality and fantasy. You can almost feel the air shift when the truth comes out, like someone finally opening a window in a room that's been sealed for years. This film teaches one of the hardest lessons of all, that letting go of illusions isn't loss. It's freedom, because sometimes, self-control means walking away from the lies we tell ourselves. Impact, 1949. And then there's Impact, a noir story that starts with betrayal, spirals into tragedy, and ends with something unexpectedly powerful: rebirth. The plot is deceptively simple. A man is betrayed by his wife, left for dead, and forced to start his life over under a new name. But the deeper message goes far beyond revenge. It's about what you do when everything you've built collapses, and all that's left is you. At first, he's consumed by anger. You can feel the bitterness in every step he takes. But as he rebuilds, something in him changes. He learns that revenge doesn't heal. It just chains you to the wreckage of your past. What makes Impact so gripping is that it doesn't romanticize pain, it respects it. The film understands that healing isn't cinematic, it's slow, messy, and full of days where you feel like giving up. But every time the main character chooses to keep going, even when no one's watching, that's where the real strength lies. By the end, you don't just see survival, you see transformation. Because sometimes, when life burns down everything you thought you were, that's the universe's way of giving you a blank page. And Impact shows that starting over isn't weakness. It's proof that even after your world collapses, your will doesn't have to. So there you have it, 5 forgotten films that speak to the battles we all fight behind closed doors. They might be old, grainy, even a little rough around the edges, but their lessons are timeless. Because every one of them whispers the same truth: strength isn't loud. It's the quiet decision to keep going when no one's watching.